All right, welcome everybody. If we can begin to take our seats, that'd be great. Oh, wow, good job. Okay, so again, welcome and good evening. My name is Andy Marchant. I am the director of the New Venture Challenge. In this, its 8th and exciting year. It's shaping up to be another great one, just like it always is. Before I go any further, I do want to extend a quick thank you to New Brew Coffee, who was handing out the samples beforehand. As some of you may know, New Brew Coffee was a participant and finalist in last year's NVC. Another quick thank you goes out to the jazz band tonight, the Drew Heller Trio. They did a fantastic job. They'll be with us again during the reception, and they are all 3 CU alum, so we're keeping it in the house tonight. So thanks again, guys. So I want to start real quick with a roadmap for the night to let you know where we're going, what we're going to be talking about. I'll begin with a few opening comments, and then we're going to transition to a recognition of the mentors who are here in the room tonight. Followed by that, we'll have Lisa Reeves, our first speaker up. She'll be talking about her entrepreneurial journey and then about picking a business and moving forward with it. Next up after that, we have Philip Tainton, who is a CU NVC co-champion. He'll be talking about his entrepreneurial journey as well, and then he'll be talking about how to get the most out of the NVC system, the NVC platform. Following that, we will have Lisa and Philip down here for a Q&A panel. Brad Bernthal will be helping to facilitate that. So if you do have any questions, if you could please hold on to those until the Q&A panel. We'll try our best to get to those. After the Q&A panel, I'll be back up here along individually with the track leads who will talk to you a little bit more about each track that's involved with the NVC. And then I'll follow up to wrap the night up with a little bit more on key points of the NVC and some key dates that are coming up. So before we get too far along into the night, I'd like to open the floor up to any community announcements.
So we are hiring at Spark Boulder. So if you are a student, graduate student that is looking to get involved with the entrepreneurial community, it would be an awesome start. We're hiring 2 fellows as soon as we can. So if you're interested, come find the Spark Boulder table afterwards or come find me.
Out of Spark Boulder right now, we're launching an incubator called Liftoff that helps early stage student businesses find mentors, connect with other students, and go through NVC by providing the resources and guidance they need to build a better business. So find me after if you want to be involved.
Right here. Brad. Anybody else? Sierra.
Denver Startup Week is next week. It's open now. We will be doing a panel Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. on notes and crowdfunding and all the different early stage options for funding. Come check us out. It's going to be at CSU Denver on the second floor.
Thank you. All right, so one more thing before we jump into tonight. One of the goals of the NVC is to connect people. And to that end, and in a tradition we have here, I'd like everybody to take the next minute to introduce themselves to somebody new around you in the audience. Take a quick minute to catch up, and then we'll circle back around. All right, everybody, if we can bring it back. Hello out there in NVC land. Hello. I wish I knew how to whistle. Does anybody know how to whistle? All right, everybody. All right, that's fantastic. I'm glad everybody got to meet each other. So let's keep moving with the night. I want to start out with the foundational question of what we're doing here tonight, and that's basically to find out more about the New Venture Challenge. And I think the easiest question is, what is the New Venture Challenge? And to me, simply put, it's a journey in entrepreneurship. And it's open to all CEU members, CEU students, faculty, and staff, and we're always engaging community members along the way. On this entrepreneurial journey, you'll make new friends, you'll meet connections in the community, you'll work with mentors, you'll learn new skills, and you'll develop your business and idea along the way. Past participants in the NVC have ranged from things like a sustainable goat farm to a space research company, from a campus mobile app to a socially minded brewery. So it really runs the gamut, and the point there is that any idea is welcome here at the NVC. And also, it doesn't matter if you don't have an idea at all, because you're still welcome. Often what we find is teams who have ideas will need people with particular skill sets that you may be able to offer. And it's not uncommon for groups of individuals who start out with no idea to coalesce and come out of the season with their own idea altogether. So just keep that in mind. The ideas are all over the place, and we love seeing all of the crazy ones. Past outcomes to the NVC, that's another favorite story of mine, and I won't get on it too much because we've already heard about some successes from Techstars, but just to give you an idea, NVC teams who have participated have gone on to things like Techstars. They've gone on to distribution of their product in major retail markets. They've gone on to conquering major sales on the internet. We've even had one go on to an Innovation Core grant, and we've also had a contestant go on to the Shark Tank. So again, you never know where it's going to end up. I think no matter the outcome, though, the real value is in just participating with the NVC, getting to know community members, working with mentors, making friends, and really developing your idea. That in and of itself is the outcome. So that's really what I want us to focus on. Who knows where you'll end up from here, but the journey is great, and that's the entrepreneurial journey. So there are 3 goals of the NVC. The first one is to collapse the campus. And what we mean by that is to basically get people who are from departments across the campus to be in the same room to share entrepreneurial ideas and thinking. And to kind of visualize this, I'd like to put it to the audience as a poll real quick. And I'm going to shout out some departments from across campus to see if we've got anybody joining us today. So do we have anybody here from the computer science department? Awesome, awesome. How about the engineering school? Great. And how about the sciences, so like physics, chemistry? Holla. Yeah, there you go. The performing arts, so dance, theater, music. Great, great. And how about the business school? And law school? Okay, so that's just a sampling, and I know I don't have time to shout out to all the others. If you want to come to me afterwards and wag your finger at me, completely understand. But we're glad that all of you are here one way or the other. So second goal of the NVC is connecting the community with the campus. And again, I'd like to just visualize that by putting it to a poll of the audience. So how many do we have here who are from the community who are not students, faculty, or staff of CU? That's awesome. That's great. So visually, that's what we're looking for. All of these different hands to be going up, and then afterwards for everybody to be sharing their ideas together. The third goal of the NVC is to just have fun. And I'd wager that if you speak with any of the past participants, they'll tell you that a lot of it is very much fun. So working with mentors, making new friends, strategizing with your team how to move forward, and yes, even the competition in the public speaking part. Those can all be fun. So we never want to lose sight of that in the NVC. We always try to keep it laid back and not threatening. So I think we can achieve all of those goals this year. We always seem to every year. So real quick, while I'm on the note of connecting campus and community, I do want to give a shout out to our cross-campus partners who help to make the NVC what it is. I also want to point out that this list of partners, they're another great resource for you to go to if you want to get plugged into entrepreneurial happenings or events around campus. These are also some great resources. So I'm just going to name a few here real quick. The Deming Center for Entrepreneurship, the Tech Transfer Office, BioFrontiers, the Entrepreneurship Center for Music, Atlas Institute, the Computer Science Department, Silicon Flatirons, Net Impact, the Interdisciplinary Telecommunications Program, the Center for Education and Social Responsibility, the Idea Forge, and many, many others. And I don't want to go on too long about that, but please, aside from the NVC, seek out these campus partners because they can help point you in the right direction. And another group that truly deserves recognition and appreciation here tonight is this year's NVC sponsors. A special thanks needs to go out to First Western Trust Bank, SoftLayer, Perkins Coie, DeZeo Group, the law firm of Marsh Fishman and Brayfogle, and Elevations Credit Union. So if we have anybody in the audience tonight affiliated with any of those groups, could you please stand out so we can recognize you with the round of applause? Fantastic. So next up, we're going to be introducing some mentors, and to do that, we're going to have Brad Bernthal up here. Brad is a professor at CU Law. He's a clinical professor for the Entrepreneurial Law Clinic. He's the director of the Entrepreneurship Initiative at Silicon Flatirons. He was my professor when I was in school, and now he's kind of my boss, so let's give him a little bit of a welcome here.
That sounds like a unique version of hell to have a former professor now as your boss. So, this is the 8th year of the NVC, and it is so powerful to see what it's become, as well as to see people here year over year. Julie was part of the group of student leaders who helped build this in year one. I could go in terms of our sponsor, our partners across campus, Jeff, Seth, and others that have been really here from the start, and I can't tell you the kind of magic that we've seen over the last 7 years, and I hope we're in for more. So I'm going to introduce the mentors. I do want to say something in terms of what happens here. So if you look to the person to your left, it's probably a geek. If you look to the person to the right, it's probably someone out of the business school. If you look to the front, it's someone out of the music school. Behind you is some entrepreneur from Boulder who's on their third startup and has more experience than you can believe, right? I mean, this is a congregation that does not get in the room except for football and basketball games. This is really how education should work, and it's part of the magic as to why this is special. With respect to the mentors, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself in 30 seconds or less. We've got a microphone that Nick's going to take around, and if you could say your name, some quirky aspect about yourself, and some sort of expertise that you would love to mentor on. So, for example, I'm Brad Bernthal. I started running a gambling pool when I was in junior high, and I am familiar with legal matters and early stage finance, right? So that's where we'll go here in a second. And if anyone else create a gambling pool, that's great. Okay, by the way, maybe potential business opportunity for you. Mentorship, as Andy mentioned, is how we connect campus and community. I think the mentorship program has been the most important part of the New Venture Challenge. We introduced this in year 3, and it has been transformative. And the reason for that is I'm a professor, so I'll pick on myself. When Andy is in my class, we're going to talk about what I want to talk about that day. Right? I set the agenda. The New Venture Challenge turns education on its head. This is ultimately what the students, the grad students, the postdocs, the staff, and the faculty here, this is everybody coming together to answer your problem, the thing that you're passionate about, the project that you think is worthwhile. And there is something really important about the kind of support that the New Venture Challenge will marshal around you on that, and core to that is the mentors. So the mentors come out of a scene that I knew was powerful. I spent last spring in Santiago, Chile, and literally every entrepreneurship conversation I had, people wanted to know, how did you do it in Boulder, and how can we do more of that in Chile? Just think about that. Here's a town of 7 million people in Santiago asking about our little hamlet of 110,000 people. How did you do it? How can we do more of that? This is a world-class scene. This is one of the best places. It's on the map with Silicon Valley, Seattle, Research Triangle, Austin, New York, Boston. I mean, this is one of the best places to start a business in the world. And the best and brightest from that community are here tonight, and they will be involved as mentors. Take advantage of it. It is a golden opportunity. So with that, the mentors, if you could raise your hand, let's start over here. We'll come down and we'll do quick mentor introductions so you know who to talk to after tonight, and then pitch night, and super important to be involved at mentor matching night. If you're a mentor, could you please hold your hand up, and we'll start here. Let's go to Keith. Right.
Thank you. I love being first. Keith Mountain. I came out here 10 years ago to join a company that was a Boulder startup. We made money with it, turned it around, and sold it. It was a great experience. I came out of the Northeast, the Boston area, and I really like it here better. I'll put it that way. And I'm trying to start a company right now, so if we can share our trials and tribulations, I'd really like to do that with you. Thank you.
Rich?
I'm Rich Kopshow. My first startup was a window cleaning business, and it failed miserably. I had no idea how to market myself. So I spent the next 35 years learning how to market, and I'm on my 15th, I think, startup. A few of them had really good exits. A few of them had really bad exits. I have my name on a Supreme Court case. So that's my claim to fame. And my personal name, by the way. So if you talk to the legal guys, make sure that they get you off of the lawsuit. The other thing I can do to help you is anything about business canvas or validation processing. I work on that kind of stuff.
Rich Boyan, this is my 5th year doing the NVC mentoring. Quirky fact, hopefully I'm not the only person in the room that can do this, but I might be named the last 20 Kentucky Derby winners. I'm kind of a thoroughbred nut. Most people don't know that I actually worked for 2 startups in Boulder, but I am a corporate guy, but mostly more interested in working with startups on the side, especially customer development, lean development type stuff. And I also have a lot of expertise in financial analysis. So come talk to me.
Awesome.
This is my first year. My name's Xavier Melendez. I just moved to Boulder about 6 months ago with my wife. I have some startup background, media background, digital, as well as about 10 to 15 years of advertising experience in big Fortune 500 advertising. So come talk to me if you need to help craft the story that your brand is and get that message out to the consumer. Thanks.
Mark's back there. We're getting short shrift on the quirky Pat parts, though. We gotta make sure to highlight that. Mark, deliver.
Oh boy, such pressure, unbelievable pressure. I'm Mark Damschroeder. I'm one of the legal guys that can maybe get your name off of the lawsuit. The Bar Association does not let me guarantee results, though, so can't guarantee results. Quirky thing about me, I love ancient architecture and culture, so I like to climb around on ruins, especially in Europe and the Mediterranean. I don't know if that's quirky enough, Brad, but that's all I got. I've been a business corporate lawyer my whole career, pretty much, although I did start some businesses on my own, so I understand what some of you are going through, and I had mixed results in my businesses and ultimately got out of them and got back in. I was with OtterBox until recently for about 4.5 years, so I was there during the really explosive growth years. So that feels really good, I can tell you. And I was also with Caterpillar for 14 years, which took me all over the world. So I have lots of international experience. So looking forward, this is my first year here, so looking forward to participating.
Welcome. Joe, Christine.
Hello, my name is Nick Little. I originally pitched in the first New Venture Challenge, an idea that I think made absolutely zero sense, but we kept on going with it. And now I have a small company, Forge Aeronautics. We're 16 people and bootstrapped the entire way and are growing. And ran into Brad the other day, said, hey, come down, and here I am looking to, I guess, I know things about software engineering, aerospace engineering, starting businesses, marketing the federal government is awful as it is actually, but yeah, systems engineering, engineer by trade, so that's probably where I can help out the most.
Awesome to have you back, Nick. Christine, Joe.
Christine Ekman. This is it my 8th Any Venture Challenge?
You were here from the start.
To that. Quirky thing, I was in Havana this year, which was really a lot of fun. And as far as what I do, I've had a couple of startups as well as startup consulting for the past 15 years. I'm really looking to focus, if there are any teams here tonight that are coming from the ITP program, I'd love to be the mentor for that. I'm a graduate from that program and have an engineering background as well as product marketing and finance after consulting for all these years. And I'll pass it to Joe.
Perfect. And Christine, by the way, give her a hug. She was the chairwoman last year when I was out of the country for the NVC. So special thanks for doing that, Christine. Joe?
Quirky thing, I'm her husband.
So don't give her too big of a hug.
I'm watching. I'm Joe Zell. I'm a venture capitalist. I've been working for a venture capital firm based in Northern Virginia, kind of the DC area for the last 14 years. I worked out there for about 10 and then started coming out here and investing 6 or 7 years ago. We've now made 18 investments in the Denver, Boulder area, all early stage tech and software companies. And I had a communications background prior to that for 20 years. So anyway, happy to be here and help.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. Lauren?
Hi, I'm Lauren Burnett. I moved to this area about 5 years ago from the DC area. I kind of grew up in the software business, and most recently I've got a clean tech company. We've licensed some technology out of the federal lab, the National Renewable Energy Center. So I'm happy to help out in any way I can. I've spent, I think, a career raising money. Feels like a couple lifetimes at this point, and as well as I'm happy to help out with product market fit and really business plans and those types of things. So look forward to working with you. Quirky thing, I can probably name 25 or 30 of the more recent Indy 500 winners. Thanks.
My name is Yuriko Morita. I'm a CU Boulder graduate. I did my PhD program in the EE department, and I also have an EMBA. So I'm a big CU supporter. I've been here for over 20 years. And I've worked for a number of startups. My specialty is intellectual property. So I've been involved with patent application number 1 for one of the CU professors' startups way back in the day. As well as I've worked for government. I know of your portfolio because I was at NREL. I've also worked most recently for Patent Troll. So I have a lot of experience in dealing with litigation issues that other people have mentioned. I love working with startups, and I do legal, business, and technology at the same time. So that's my pitch. As far as a quirky thing, I know Professor Nitsch from. I know your compositions because I'm also a professional musician, and I premiered your piece with the Boulder Philharmonic a couple years ago.
How are we doing? Anybody else? Oh, Daniel. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Daniel Zasek. I serial entrepreneur. My quirky thing, I've spent most of my life on campus. I grew up in family housing, was an undergraduate here for 12 years, and then classified staff for another 10. I'm passionate about young and first-time entrepreneurs. That's like my big passion in life. So I want to talk to everybody about everything. The areas in which I'd be helpful is probably software development, technology, and pitching.
Got one more over there.
Thank you. I'm Peter Kovari. I'm an expat from the Silicon Valley. I moved to the area about 6 years ago. I come to these fantastic events a lot, and I listen in. I really like to see familiar faces. I would love to say that I'm a serial entrepreneur, but I'm not. But this is what I'm aspiring to be. Right now, I am a patent agent, just like the previous lady here, and I would love to work with startups, patenting your new ideas. That's the short pitch. I have an MBA. I'm originally from Europe, and I'm very strong on the software and electrical engineering side.
All right. Well.
Hi, I'm Bart Foster. Moved here from Atlanta a year ago. I founded a company called Solo Health. We put health kiosks into places like Safeway and Walmart that screen blood pressure, vision, body mass index. Scaled that. My background, though, is consumer products. I was with Kellogg, with Novartis. So I'm excited to be here. Hopefully I can give back and help. The quirky thing about me, which I'm finding out is not so quirky in Boulder, but it ties into something you said, which is an entrepreneurial community. My wife and I sat in bed at the end of May. We were in Atlanta. We said we could live anywhere in the country. Where do we want to live? And literally got out our iPad and our laptop, started Googling best place to raise a family, healthiest cities, best cities to walk, best cities for entrepreneurs. And it was the best cities for entrepreneurs and Boulder was like on every list. That night she said, we've never been there. And I said, that's fine. Do you think we're not going to like it? We ended up making a trip. We fell in love with it, and we moved here a year ago. And the reason I picked Boulder is I'm ready to start another company. And where I can add value, sales, marketing, business development, strategy, fundraising, so all on the commercial side of the business. So hopefully I can help, and glad to be here. Thanks.
All right, so I want to, at the risk of embarrassing him, there's one more ringer who's not formally a mentor, but he's been teaching the entrepreneurial execution course on campus. If you had a chance to get George DeRiso's feedback afterwards, tackle George and get the benefit of his feedback, you get some sense for what a terrific and amazing community this is and how you can use this network and get the benefit of people who have been through a cycle of entrepreneurship, usually successes and failures before. Please help me give them a warm thank you to the mentors. All right, so it's my delight to introduce one of my favorite entrepreneurs in the area. Lisa Reeves has over 20 years of experience in business and a really fascinating background. She has an MBA from Thunderbird, did her bachelor's in economics from Kalamazoo College. And Lisa has 3 different types of experiences in her background. The first is with large companies. So that includes work with SAP, especially when SAP was expanding into North America, was also vice president and general manager with Citrix Systems with a particular focus on their SaaS division. In addition to working with large companies, Lisa also is a venture capitalist, or was a venture capitalist, worked with SAP Ventures, and then also was a general partner with Vista Ventures in the Front Range. And then also she's an entrepreneur. And 3 years ago, started Gridcraft? 2 years ago, started Gridcraft. So this cycle with Gridcraft was a little faster than most entrepreneurial cycles. But earlier this year, had a very happy exit to Workday, and is now, Lisa and her team is going to be the anchor tenant around which Workday is going to be building a development center here in Boulder. In addition to being pretty remarkable on the business side, Lisa's also sort of I'd say platonic version of a Boulder entrepreneur, like interesting life outside of business as well. And you could try to catch her, but if there's 26 miles on the line, it's unlikely. She's a serious marathoner, has run in Boston and other places, and is regularly working out at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. Please help me welcome Lisa Reeves.
Thanks, Brad, for that warm welcome. So I'm so excited to be here tonight. I think it was about 2 years ago that I got involved with the New Venture Challenge, and I just realized sitting next to Philip tonight that I actually was the judge the year that he tied for first? I know, darn. And the winner was actually already mentioned here. It was Devin. Varsity, which came out of the CU New Venture Challenge, and then went into the Techstars program, right, the summer of 2014. And then I think he's gone on to actually raise a seed round, and he has a couple of employees now, and they've actually changed course completely from where they started, which is very typical, I think, for a lot of companies that start out. So it's a pleasure to be here tonight. I think it's a wonderful program. I'm a mentor, as well as 2 years ago when I judged the program, and I've met many people through the program, and I've seen a lot of familiar, friendly faces as well. So I'm going to talk just for about 15 minutes, and then Philip will follow up, and then we'll do a short Q&A if you have any questions. I'm going to talk a little bit about choosing a business idea and when the time is right. And maybe I'll just start off, and you gave me a warm welcome, Brad, but maybe I'll just elaborate a little bit, because that kind of puts in context where I've come from and how I ended up with Gridcraft, my startup. Out of business school, I actually went to Detroit, and I worked for Chrysler for 2 years. And it was in supply chain management. It was in inventory control. So it was very much on the shop floor, technical cost control, a world away kind of from technology. And that was many years ago, although now in the auto industry, total disruption and tons of tech. But at that time, it was a different kind of world. And I ended up going out to Silicon Valley, to San Francisco, because I was getting married. And I had heard about this little software company called SAP, which is now a very big software company. So I was one of the first employees in North America. I think they have 60, 70,000 employees, and I was employee 1,700. So you were literally on the phone with the developer in Germany trying to figure out how the software worked. And now Procter & Gamble, everyone runs on it. And they're trying to reinvent themselves. They've been disrupted by all the SaaS cloud vendors. Their tradition was on-prem. So very traditional enterprise software. I was there for 14 years, which back in the dot-com day, that was unheard of. No one would stay around for 14 years. 9 years on the operational side. And then the last 5, I managed their venture fund. I knew nothing about venture capital, which is sort of my entrepreneurial journey. Nothing at all. I knew a lot about how SAP worked. I knew a lot about the Germans. And I started as a consultant, and just kind of worked my way up through the ranks. And they're like, hey, we're going to do this venture fund, you want to come run it? And I'm like, wow, that sounds cool. And so that was how I got into venture capital. And it was, we managed $350 million under management, invested off the balance sheet. I actually relocated to Germany with my family. We had moved out here from Silicon Valley in '98. My husband was an early employee with Sun Microsystems. And we closed the door on our house in Niwot, and we moved to Munich, Germany, ran the fund there, moved back here, and ended up spending 14 years at SAP. It was phenomenal. Those were the days, forget about SaaS, forget about subscription service. Those were the days like you close a $25 million deal with Intel, and then you close a $45 million deal with, like Apple. It was stunning looking back to how enterprise software was sold back then. So did that, and then got tired of traveling, and then that's when I joined Vista locally, and this whole time I'm living in Boulder. But I really wasn't a part of the community. I was going Germany, and I was always in San Francisco, and back and forth. I'm like, wow, things are getting interesting here. I want to be a part of the scene here. And so that's when I joined Vista. I was very involved with Rally and very involved with Citrion, which was an enterprise collaboration company, and that's just when Techstars was starting. It was like in the 07 timeframe, 08, and kind of interesting. That was a great stint. Vista was a ton of fun, majority woman-owned venture fund, about 70 million under size fund. And then, the recession, and we had some issues, and Rally hadn't gone public yet, and other things. And so we kind of took that down a little bit, and I ended up going into Citrix. And again, not really part of the scene here. I was commuting to Santa Barbara. And then this whole region really started to take off. And it was really phenomenal. It was kind of like that 2010 time frame. Super interesting. Spent 3 years at Citrix, traveling to Santa Barbara, though, always on the plane, all the time. And I'm like, wow, I want to do something here. And so I left Citrix in 2013, and I took some time off, and I looked at a bunch of opportunities, and this is how I became an entrepreneur. And so I sort of had, on the fringe, been mentoring people involved with Techstars, stuff like that. But it's just really, it's interesting how these things happen. I think you have to keep your mind open, and people start companies for different reasons, right? You may be in the shower, and like the light bulb goes off, you have this incredible idea, and I'm like, wow, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna change the world, and it could be you meet a cool group of people, it could be, I'm gonna go change the world, it could be, hey, I think I have this business idea, I'm gonna make a ton of money. People are driven by different things in life. Or you could be deep into industry, into agriculture, and you see like a tremendous opportunity in agriculture. Or I love the guys that were in Techstars this year, the ad hoc guys. They came out of like Google AdWords and stuff like that. They knew that industry inside out, and they knew what needed to be done. I love businesses like that. In fact, I met a guy yesterday, he might even be here today, who's an estate attorney. And on the side, his hobby is he's been developing software, SaaS software, for estate planning. He knows all the warts around it and how really to disrupt that industry. Those are really cool opportunities. Or you could be like me, hey, I've done like all this stuff on the venture side, on enterprise software side, loosely on the entrepreneurial side, and I want to do something, but like I don't know what. I don't have an idea. And so when I left Citrix, that's what I was thinking, and I knew people like Brad and Julie and others in the community. And so then, out of the blue, these two guys that I like loosely knew, not really, socially sort of knew, really smart guys approached me, both super senior guys at Oracle, lived in Niwot, like me, always on a plane. They kind of knew me, I kind of knew them, not really though. And they came to me and they said, hey, we're gonna go do this, and one was like a CTO, chief architect of all the Oracle GBUs. The other one ran a huge engineering organization at Oracle. And they're like, hey, we really need someone on the business side. We did a startup before. They went to MIT together. They had a startup back in the day that got sort of an okay exit. And they're like, we kind of need someone to round out the team. And that's how we formed Gridcraft. And I loved these two guys, my two co-founders. And when they came to me with the original idea, I was kind of like, But like the way a lot of ideas start, and I was kind of in that third bucket, it wasn't in the shower, the light bulb didn't go off. It wasn't like, I saw this industry ripe for disruption that I knew inside out. It was more like, I really like these two guys. So over the course of like a couple of months, we would like go to one guy's house and we would just like moved all the furniture out of his dining room. And they're like my age. I mean, these guys are not like 20, you know, they're like my age. We would sit in the dining room and we would like iterate on these ideas. We were kind of all still working other things on the side. We hadn't really come together, no formation of like the company or docs or funding or anything. We had collectively sort of agreed that we'd all throw some money in, you know, but we weren't sure. And that's how we started Gridcraft. So basically, we started this company, the three of us. We also had a seed investor, pretty well-known guy in the Bay Area. We collectively put a note out, we started the company, and what we were doing was we were running this big cloud scale database that could suck in any kind of data, and that's how I know Christine, because we sucked in some of her data. It could be cloud data, it could be structured, unstructured, semi-structured, it could be huge spreadsheets, 8 million cell spreadsheets, 5 million formulas. Suck it all in, combine it, clean it up, and then the interface was Microsoft Excel. It looked like Microsoft Excel, but it wasn't. We had like recreated it to look like Microsoft Excel. We had basically, you know, and if you're a power user, you want the shortcuts and all that kind of stuff. We had all that stuff, but it was live. So if you think about it, you know, live data and like changing your spreadsheet and you're emailing it around and then what version and where did it go and that's chart is wrong, it has wrong numbers. I mean, we've all been there, right? And everyone knows how to use a spreadsheet, right? Everyone. From my grandma to like my, you know, little kid. Everyone knows how a spreadsheet works. And so it was a great user paradigm, and that's how we settled on the spreadsheet. And so that's really what we did. And we hired a team, and this was, and again, I keep coming back to team because we had this idea. I'll get back to that in a minute, but I'll get to the team. The team was phenomenal. We only had 8 employees. We were 3, right? The 3 co-founders. We ranged in age from 22 to 62. Loosely, my 2 co-founders, the 2 technical co-founders, knew all the guys that we hired. The 62-year-old, you know, he went to Northwestern. He was protesting the Vietnam War. He's just like, you know, wonderful guy, Lions, huge long ponytail, you know, typical developer server guy, like crazy smart. The 22-year-old, I don't think he ever went to college, hacked into BVSD and put $3 million on his lunch card, you know? And that was our team. And it spanned, and everything in between there, they all loosely knew each other. And I was the only one. And so, like, when we went around and said what we can mentor or help with, well, like I did everything at the company that wasn't writing code. So I can do anything from buying snacks to raising, you know, $1.4 million, to working with the legal department. But my specialty is really enterprise software and selling to businesses. And so that was really how it came about, you know. And so I really, and so as Brad mentioned, it happened much sooner than we expected. Workday is a big enterprise software company. Really, they think of themselves as a startup, but it's bigger than when I started SAP. It's growing incredibly fast. They're the former founders of PeopleSoft, which Oracle acquired a number of years ago. They're the guys who started Workday, based in the Bay Area, about 5,500 employees, I think, so far. Really fast-growing company. It's all SaaS, all mobile, and focusing on HCM, human capital management, and moving into financials. And so they found us actually on Product Hunt, for any of the techies in here. That's how they found us, if you can believe that. We were posted, it was actually someone at Techstars who posted us on Product Hunt. And that's kind of the new M&A way. Based on that, we actually had 3 inbound inquiries for the company. So it's phenomenal, like just looking at how corporate development and M&A has changed through the years. And anyway, it was just like a really good fit for us and really cool. They had no interest in Boulder at all. And that wasn't a driver at all. You know, like I don't even think they knew where Boulder was. And then they came here and they were blown away by Boulder and the whole vibe. And in fact, Brad, we had a senior executive here last Friday who was an CU alum. He came out for the CSU game and I introduced him. He met with Zayo and he met with Brad because they're really interested now about getting tighter alignment to the community. So it's really a wonderful thing. We've doubled the size of our staff. We're moving to a larger office, really to anchor a big development center. So it's a really it's a really interesting story. And I think the other thing maybe I'll just touch on for a second is, because Andy and Brett had asked me to talk about the timing, like when's the time right, and how, and I know Phil will talk about an idea and how you validate it and some of that stuff. You know, the time is never right. It's never right, and it's also never wrong, you know? So if you're, you know, really young, what do you have to lose? Just like go out and do it. If you're older, you know, you're probably more settled. You might have more disposable income if you want to pump money into it. But, you know, wow, it requires like an incredible amount of work and effort, you know, to do it. So the timing is like never right. You just really, I think you have to jump in when you feel like it's a good fit. Like, oh my God, this idea is so insane. I can work on it forever, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Or this team, I'm so inspired by this team. I feel like, wow, every step we make gets us to the next level, you know, or something in between. But you really have to have that anchor, you know, that really kind of it propels you and gets you excited every day to do it. Because it's not easy. It's not easy at all, you know. And the thing I'll leave you with, though, is there is honestly no greater community to do it, you know. And you hear that from everyone, but it is like so true. And I think that, you know, we just have tremendous opportunity. Everyone's very giving with their time. You hear people talk about give before you get, and it's really true. You see that in the entrepreneurial community. I can't tell you, working with the CU New Venture Challenge as well as the Techstars guys, everyone is like so appreciative and thoughtful. No one squanders your time or your effort. It's really a wonderful community. And it also makes me wonder how long we can keep it going, because it's a really special thing, you know. And I've worked in Boston, I've worked in San Francisco. There's no other community that's like that. And you certainly see a lot of the communities in the Midwest. I'm originally from Kansas, you know, accelerators getting off the ground in Cincinnati and Kansas City and emulating, you know, what we do here. And so I hope that we're really able, you know, to keep it going. And that's about it. So look forward to questions later.
Please stay. I'll introduce Philip and we'll. I'm going to ask Philip to come up. Dr. Tayton, you probably don't get tired of hearing that at this point.
I've only been hearing it for a month.
For those of you who are thinking about starting a company, he was literally in your seat 2 years ago.
I didn't come to this event.
All right, he was not here at all.
I wasn't even here.
But then you reached out to me, or someone introduced you to me about December.
Yeah, around there, December,
Okay.
January.
So in the middle of the NVC cycle, and we set up to meet, and I was going to give him the snake oil about why he had to be part of the New Venture Challenge. And I think I set like a record for canceled meetings. There's like 3 of them. And we finally connect over at Subway, and I'm spitting food on him while he's, you know, trying to dodge, and explain to me what his research is about, which is plastics that can
You
be...
stop there. It's fine.
Plastics that can be molded at much lower temperatures, much more environmentally friendly, takes fewer chemicals. And so this was a classic, really interesting, world-class solution in search of a problem. And so you knew you had good technology. You didn't know, would there be a business around it? And so I'm spitting, you know, Subway sandwich on him and saying, you really need to do this New Venture Challenge thing. And he did it. He met mentors through the NVC. Philip can give you a little bit of heads up on that. He also met his now CEO. Is Chris here tonight?
Yep.
So Chris was doing an MBA at the time, Connects, so that turns out to be building a team. You were emphasizing the importance of team. They were the co-winners of the NVC that spring, and then they went on to participate in the I-Corps program. They've gone on to garner about $400,000 in grants so far. This is now a company that didn't just have a great technology. They actually know the problem that they're trying to solve. They've got a real chance. Please help me welcome Philip Tayton.
Thanks for the intro, Brad. And I'm just going to start with my shout outs. So, got to put this on. So, Brad is rad. So basically, Brad's the man, as you all probably know. And if you don't know yet, you'll know by the end of the year. And if it weren't for Brad encouraging me, it probably would have never become more than just a pretty good research project. And so I just want to give that shout out. And then the whole New Venture Challenge really changed my life and really changed the direction that my life was heading in. When I started, before that meeting with Brad, my biggest ambition was to get a postdoc at NREL or something. And so my whole outlook has totally changed. And, you know, I owe it to the New Venture Challenge for kind of opening my eyes to a whole different world. For those of you who are in the audience who don't speak MBA and who like miss all of those acronyms, and if you don't know what M&A is, you know, I'm with you guys. So after that conversation with Brad, I started to go to all these New Venture Challenge events, and really it was a totally different language. I didn't know what was going on. Lean this, lean that, lean the other thing, I'll lean on a chair. Yeah, and I didn't really connect with it, and I never had an ambition of being a CEO, and guess what? I don't have to be. I got Chris. Which I found out CEO really stands for Chief Email Officer. That's CSO, yeah.
Strategy officer.
But yeah, so it's been a really interesting journey for me, and really what I realized very quickly after that conversation with Brad, and Brad did me the favor of speaking English to me. He kind of knew who he was talking to. He was talking to a researcher, so he kind of dumbed it down quite a bit. But really what it's about is finding where you can add value to the world around you. Is there an industry you can add value to? It's not about having a great idea. It's not even about having a fantastic team. It's about the search for how to add value. And that doesn't have to just be entrepreneurship. That doesn't have to be starting a company. It could be, how do you add value to your relationships? How do you add value in your professional life, whatever that's going to be? If you can add value to an organization, you've got a job. And that's really what it all boils down to for us. And so, like Brad said, we started in a different place. Our story actually starts in a lab. I'd like to say late at night, but I don't work that hard. But it starts in a lab across campus. And, you know, I made this plastic, and it seemed pretty good. And it took us 6 months to kind of test it and see how good it was. And yeah, it was really unique. It has all this cool stuff. You know, we found out we could recycle it just using water, and just, it seemed like really revolutionary in some cool ways. And then we're like, this has to be useful for something. And that's when I just reached out to Brad. It's like, you know, we kind of want to find, you know, where this can go. And so that's where we started. We didn't have too many ideas. We had a few vague ideas about where our technology might be useful. And what Brad did that really helped me is he introduced me to a few people. And that really just encouraged me, hey, I can talk to people. Like, that's a new idea for a lot of researchers. Like, yeah, you get it. And so after that, I kind of was empowered, and I just started emailing, cold emailing like people that I wanted to talk to. And then around Boulder, you'll find there is this give first culture. And so when you contact people, even people not directly associated with the New Venture Challenge, they're generally pretty open. And they'll generally give you some of their time, even if their time is worth a lot more money than your time is. And so the give first mentality around Boulder really means for everyone in this room, you guys can take first. Because who people are going to give first to is you, okay? And so you guys should feel empowered to go out there, talk to who you want to talk to. And so that's the first point. Second point I want to make is just about pivoting, changing positions. That was one of the words I really understood when I first came in. But basically, you don't have to start with a really good idea. You can start with a fantastic idea, a brilliant idea genius idea, Nobel Prize idea, and your company can completely fail. You can start with a team of experts and your company can totally fail. You can start with a team of 15-year-olds and your company can be amazing. What you really need to do, and this is what I've found, and in our situation it was really obvious, is you have to listen to people. You have to validate, change that, don't validate, invalidate your idea as quickly as you can. Who is the person who could tell me that this really won't work? Talk to that person first. Because your really great idea, no matter how brilliant it is, it may not be what the market needs. It may have been what the market needed 10 years ago, or what it will need in 10 years. It might be that great, but you really need to hear from the world how you can add value to the world. And so you're not going to get the information you need from this room. You're going to get it from the outside world. You're not going to get it from Google. You're going to get it by talking to people in the industry you want to enter. You want to talk to people who are going to be your customers. You're going to talk to people who are going to be your customers' bosses, the decision maker. You know, you got to start to wrap your head around what your market is. And that involves calling people and putting yourself out there. And so really, the best value I've found through the New Venture Challenge was in invalidating all my ideas. And 3 weeks before the New Venture Finals, I was invalidating an idea and starting again. And so that, to me, is really the most important thing about this whole thing. So you need to listen to people. You need to be humble and not think your idea is amazing, because you're just going to hang on to that idea, and it's going to keep you from finding out where you can best serve. And so us as a company, we're still on that path. Brad mentioned we do have, something that we've validated with a lot of interviews and a market we're pursuing and an application that seems to make sense, but we're just never satisfied. We're constantly looking at new areas, seeing, is there something that would be a better place to start? Is there something, what about this? What about that? And so we're just constantly in that cycle, trying to find out, is there a better place our technology can serve the world a little better, or we can change our technology so it fits better. So that was one thing. Then another thing, another lesson learned, and this was in the first, about halfway through the New Venture Challenge for us, it was just a matter of, okay, so for us, we were starting with the technology. This technology has umpteen number of features, okay? We were really excited about all those features, and I was really excited about some of those more than others. But we really couldn't find anywhere that really needed the features we were most excited about. And at a certain point, it was just like, wait a minute, what all can it do? And we just listing out everything it can do. And then, it can mold at low temperatures, and it's pretty strong. And that seems like the most boring part of the whole thing. It's like, okay, who cares? But then, I thought more about it, and I was like, wait a minute. And it's like, that temperature is like kind of in a nice spot. And it was at 80 degrees Celsius. I'm not going to do the Fahrenheit conversion. You guys need to learn that shit. But America's ridiculous. About that. But yeah, it's in this really nice spot where it's above, normal operating conditions, and then it's below where it can burn you. And so I went and did an experiment in the lab, and I made a big piece of the plastic, and I molded it onto my skin. I was like, that's pretty cool. And so that's really still the thing that kind of sets our material apart in a useful way. And we're working with sporting goods companies now to try to come up with custom fitting products. And so that's really where we found a lot of traction, which you're not going to get there just by sitting around and thinking about it. And we only got to the sporting goods after invalidating medical devices. Just a really bad place for us to start. We won with the New Venture Challenge with it, but it's still, we found out later, it wasn't the best place for us to start. And, we're just at the very beginning of our journey. And I told Brad, I was like, why are you asking me there? I haven't done anything yet. I just graduated with my PhD a month ago, and we just got our own lab going, and we're just starting. And then the other thing is, materials research companies have this kind of well-trodden path that they go down, which is they survive on grant money as long as they can, and then they fail. That's a really, really well-trodden path for us to follow, and we're trying our best not to do that. And I think the reason people do that is, they lose sight of that whole thing of bringing your value to the world. And it's a difficult dance to do because, especially a materials company, you're too early, you're too risky for a lot of investors. And then you can go government grant money route, but that's a huge distraction, and then you're jumping through all those hoops all day long. And so it's just a difficult dance to do, and we're doing it. I mean, we're trying, and we really don't have anything to lose except like time and money. Apart from that, at least as a student, you don't have anything to lose to try it. And I didn't come in wanting to be in this startup. I didn't come in wanting to run a business. But it's like I'm kind of on this journey, and this is where my life is taking me, and it's exciting. What's driven me and what still drives me is this fundamental curiosity of how can this be done? How can you bring brand new technology out of the lab and commercialize it into the world? And why doesn't it happen more often? I'm seeing a lot of why it doesn't happen more often. But yeah, coming out of academia, and then I worked in industry a little bit before that, you just see a lot of things developed, a lot of really promising technologies, a lot of stuff that seems like, man, that should make a difference. But then it really doesn't, and it just takes, there's just a lot of inertia against you. So that's an encouraging thought, right? But yeah, out of the New Venture Challenge, just take. Bother Brad, bother Andy. We had Mystery Murphy doing Andy's role my year, and I bugged the shit out of her. I was sending her emails, asking her for connections. I treated her very, very badly. But, I shouldn't have done anything different. All she did was encourage me, and Brad did the same. And so, really, you guys have the campus community at your service. You guys have excellent world-class mentors at your service. You guys are in an excellent networking position, a lot of events where you can go meet people who are trying to do the same thing, join a team. I've never met anyone who regretted being a part of the New Venture Challenge. And then, at the end of the day, the New Venture Challenge is an entrepreneurship, because basically you're not really risking anything other than getting in front of people and sounding like an idiot. But you should get over that, because you're going to do that a lot in your life. So, yeah, you're not really risking anything at this point, and it's just a fantastic opportunity to learn from people who've done this stuff before. And yeah, so that's all I have to say.
So we've got 10 minutes. So we've got 10 minutes for Q&A, people who are looking to potentially use the NVC as a platform, questions that you've got about building a company, NVC, et cetera. And I think, is Nick around? Right back. Great.
So this should be an easy one. Do you have to be a student here, or just have one of your co-founders a student here to be part of the NVC?
Andy's going to handle some more of the details in terms of logistics. The rule is a person on your team, one person on your team has to be a current CU student, staff member, or faculty, postgrads as well. So you have to have a current CU ID on your team. Additionally, we have, if you're from School of Mines, talk to us afterwards. We're talking about extending this out to School of Mines this year as well.
I guess a question for both of you. What's the most influential book that both of you have read?
Lean Startup.
Yeah, I was going to say Lean Startup.
Because?
It just, you know, I read it fairly early on, kind of when I was thinking about entrepreneurial activities, and it just kind of reset my mind and just a different view on how to think about it.
What for you?
Yeah, what I was talking about invalidating your ideas. Lean Startup just gives you a layout of exactly how to do that and how to document it, and it's like really methodical approach to proving yourself wrong, which is the best thing you can do.
So I think in being successful, failure is key. And so how do you guys like to fail, and how do you recover from those failures that you've incurred in your careers?
Maybe I'll, it's a great question, and put a fine point on it. Tell us about a specific failure, either in the current companies or, you know, and how you took that forward as an entrepreneur.
Well, as it relates to GridCraft, so initially we totally had the wrong idea. So the whole idea, you know, go out and validate your idea. We had the absolute wrong idea. And I knew that because we went out and we met with Friendlies on the fundraising side. And so we got lots of feedback and a lot like, you know, this sucks, no way, would I ever fund it? And so it's pretty, you know, deflating and a real hit to your ego when you think, wow, this is the greatest idea ever. And so we totally had to re-vector and change everything that we were doing. And so that was really, you know, in the journey. And I feel like we were really lucky that we got such direct feedback from people. And, you know, especially the investors, if you get the opportunity, and there's plenty of investors in this town, you know, just try to get a short meeting. And, you know, I think when the rubber hits the road, when it's time to raise money, it's one of the best ways to find out kind of where your idea is going.
We wasted a lot of time writing half of a grant proposal one time. And since then, we've just been a lot more selective about, you know, we're only going to go after grants that kind of, we can write them to take us in the direction we're heading anyway. You know, kind of do the sailing tack thing, but not like high wind scenario. And so we've been trying to be more focused. But to the spirit of your question, I really think it's about iterating and failing your ideas as quickly as possible. And like, it doesn't happen when I do it, but when my dog pivots, he doesn't lose any momentum. Like, he can turn around 180 degrees and he's still going the same speed the whole time. And that's kind of the miracle that startups have to do. I think startups need to grow 4 legs like my dog so that you can keep the momentum going even when you change direction.
I'm going to be a teacher someday, I think. I like that.
Hopefully not.
Right in the back.
You may be rad.
Yeah, hi, thank you for sharing your experiences. Mine is a 2-part question. Like, you don't have the idea, but you were thinking over it, okay, let's come on to some solution, and you had the product, but you didn't know how to go it in the market. But the common thing is you need to have a team that takes care of the various things, right? And sometimes there is a difference of opinion within the teams. So how you keep them motivated, how you keep them aligned, how you come on to a common solution, how you collaborate. I mean, how do you go about that?
Yeah, so as the person who is like leading this engineering team, it's a great question, you know, because I had no real technical background, you know, and so you just have to have like this really like, you know, it's just like, it's almost stunning, like every morning, like wake yourself up and just get out of bed and have this big ass vision that you're going to share, and you're like so committed to it, and it really like inspirational, you know. And I found that it was great because that's kind of how I had to get up and how I had to be every day. But you know, I had this great rapport with my two co-founders, and they kind of like reel me back in when we had to. But kind of from a leadership inspiration perspective, when you have a team, whether it's a team of 2 or a team of 10 or a team of 500, you know, you have to have, once you kind of go through that thing of iterating and ideation and all that kind of stuff, you know, you got to put a stake in the ground or you're like wasting so much time. And so once you feel like you're there, you start to get some momentum behind you, you really have to have that kind of leadership and charisma to carry that team and the inspiration, you know, because they're really looking at you, I think, to do that. And it's a heavy weight, you know, in a small company.
Well, so you and Chris meet during the NVC, or at least early in the stage. You know, what was it that you felt like there was a good fit here, and why Chris as opposed to some? Was there anybody else in the mix?
No.
No. Okay. What were you looking for?
Well, one thing I wanted was somebody else to put on the slide deck so that it looked like we had a team when we pitched. So Chris was willing to fill that role in the beginning, and then, and you know, he looks really good on paper too. He's got a PhD from Berkeley and an MBA from here, and he's got all this experience in intellectual property law and corporate development and all this stuff, you know, and that's just a lot of buzzwords on my slide that I was missing.
You do need those kind of buzzwords
to
round it out. Yeah.
And so it just, having him there in the beginning gave us this sense of security of like, yeah, you know, at least when we pitch, it'll look like we have a real team. He didn't have that much time in the beginning, to be perfectly honest. He's working on like 2 or 3 other ideas and finishing up his MBA. But, you know, in the summer, I think, you know, after we co-won the New Venture Challenge, he's like, okay, maybe it's worth some of my time. I don't know when that switch happened, but, you know, he came on as a co-founder with us. He's worked, I don't know how many months, if you add them all up, with no pay, you know, full time, and the New Venture Challenge winnings, I spread that out, and I just kept giving him like really tiny paychecks. And just enough to keep him around, because it's not enough money, you know, but for anything like that. But he helped us write our grants, and he's just been an excellent partner. And I think we just, you know, maybe by accident of the universe, like you said, there were no other. He didn't have much competition, but we're our personality-wise, we're a really good fit. He's really nice.
That's so funny because I'm really nice and my co-founders aren't. Yes.
Yeah. So
they even say it. They don't like people.
Yeah.
And they're not nice.
And so we've just kind of developed this really great working relationship. And you know, if somehow things don't work out with Melinda, I'm all in to do whatever's next with Chris if we can. But, you know, Melinda's going to have a huge exit. Yep. You know, don't worry about that.
So we've got time for one more question. I want to be clear, and we'll come up here, Nick. So we've got 2 highly overeducated individuals up here tonight. That is not the only people who use the NVC. And in fact, I think probably one of the hottest companies off the campus right now is, does anyone know Shinesty? Okay. So what Shinesty does is retro shtick clothes from the early 80s, I mean, by and large, right? And it's things like a Speedo with the American flag on it. I mean, a very sophisticated business model. And Chris White and his team is doing a seriously big business off of this. So now Chris he's smart. I don't want to, and he's got a JD, so it's important to agree. But I just want to be clear, he didn't need a JD to do Shinesty. So in terms of the kinds of companies that come off the campus.
Hi everybody, I'm the first year graduate student in ITP. My question is it always about a new idea, or you're finding something into the market which is having a potential but not that much crowded? So we can start with that, or you necessarily always have an idea, a new idea?
Great question. Does it have to be an original idea as you're pursuing a startup? So Lisa, especially as a venture investor, when you're looking for the next big thing, was it always a new idea, or were you sometimes looking at someone who was a second mover in an area that people seem to be struggling in?
Yeah, I think it's totally fine to be a second mover. I think, and I also love ideas that go in and disrupt old industries. So maybe it's not necessarily a new idea, but a new idea in an industry that's ripe for disruption. So I think there's a whole spectrum of acceptable ideas, and it doesn't have to just be a new idea.
Yeah, because sometimes the potential is huge, and people are not taking up right now, and it's warming up. So, people are stepping in, but it's not that much crowded area. So you can be a second, third person into it.
There's this little company called Google that I think is going to make it. It wasn't first in the search business, but I think it's somehow going to do okay.
Yeah.
This has been fantastic in terms of two different perspectives of entrepreneurial journeys. Please help me give a warm thank you to Lisa. Thank you.
Okay, that was fantastic. Some very colorful conversation there. So I want to pivot right now, to use some of the slang, to talk a little bit more about the NVC and its tracks. So we've just heard of, some great things about picking a business idea and moving forward, some great things about how to leverage the NVC. So let's jump into how the NVC works through the season. So throughout the year, NVC participants will have access to mentors, workshops, and other programming to help them develop and grow their ideas and businesses. Along the way, they could be picking up teammates, but certainly the idea is to grow and develop from the resources that we can marshal for you. In late March and April, the competition phase of the New Venture Challenge really kicks in. And it's at that point that teams are allowed to really showcase their ideas and the growth and the development that they've worked hard at over the past year. So this year we will have 4 NVC tracks. That's going to be the research and development track, the information technology track. It's going to be, the performing arts track, and also the general track. And basically how it works at the end of the year when we hit the competition phase, we'll have each participant in the specific tracks compete, and then the winner from each track will go on to the grand finals at the very end of the season. Really want to start out by reminding you that it doesn't matter if you don't have an idea or you don't know where your idea fits in. We'll figure that out along the way. But at this point, I do want to introduce you to each of our track leads who will talk a little bit more about each of the tracks. So first, I want to start out with Molly Markley with the research and development track.
Great. Thank you, Andy. So as Andy said, I'm Molly Markley. I am a licensing manager here at the Technology Transfer Office at CU. And we're actually really excited to be sponsoring and running the second year of the R&D track for NVC 8, which I can't believe it's already the 8th version of this. I remember being involved, I think, in NVC 2, kind of tangentially, but I'm really excited to be more into the weeds on this one. So Philip and Chris's story is really the reason why we have the R&D track, although I don't know if it actually existed in its formal form when you guys participated. But what we're really looking to do with this track is kind of open it up. So, for undergraduates, graduate students, postdocs, researchers, anyone on campus who's got an idea, whether that's based on your research, a discovery you made like Philip made in the lab, or maybe you're toiling away in the lab and you're not really sure if what you're doing is actually going to turn out to be a solution to it, problem that anyone cares about. You'd like to get your idea out in front of some judges, get some critical feedback. Maybe you've got the idea, the idea for the next big 3D printer or a minimally invasive diagnostic device, totally unrelated to what you do for CU. Maybe you're not a researcher at all. And in fact, we want a wide variety of people here involved in our R&D track. If you've never set foot into a lab, you don't have a technical background, not a problem. We can help hook you up with a team and a technology that needs your skills and expertise. Chris and Philip found each other, and Chris has got the MBA background, some PhD, that helps too, but Philip had the technical background, and they both worked really well together to figure out what was the commercial value, the proposition that they could put forward and actually build a company around. So you might get the opportunity, we hope that you get an opportunity to actually build a startup out of the R&D track, but even just getting the experience of working with a real-life technology, kind of doing some of that feasibility analysis, maybe some intellectual property analysis if it's needed. We've got a lot of resources that we can help bring to the table. I'm thinking about doing maybe a prototyping workshop this year, since that seems to be of really critical importance to a lot of the teams that come in through the R&D or just the general track as well. And so we're really looking forward to it. If any of you have questions, feel free to find me. I'll be here for a little bit afterwards. And if any of you are looking for a leadership opportunity as well, I do have an opening to kind of have someone help me along with some of the event planning for the R&D track. So feel free to find me afterwards, and hopefully I'll talk to a bunch of you later tonight.
Thank you, Molly. Next up, we have Jeff Nitch with the Performing Arts track.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Nitch. I'm on the faculty of the College of Music, and it's my pleasure to once again head up the Performing Arts track of New Venture Challenge, sponsored by our friends at Elevations Credit Union. And, it's a fun and challenging role that I have over in the College of Music, because entrepreneurship and the arts have traditionally not been much of good bedfellows with each other. They're kind of foreign to each other. And I spent a lot of my time trying to translate the lingo, the jargon of the business and entrepreneurship world, so that artists can relate it to what they do. That makes my job very challenging, but it also makes it very rewarding. And in the Performing Arts track, we welcome ventures that have art, music, theater, or dance at the center of their venture to participate in this track. We do ask that one member of your team be from the departments of either music, theater, or dance, but that doesn't mean that the rest of the team has to be from those areas. So if you are not a music major, theater, or dance major, but you've got an arts-related venture, then come and see me, and we can hook you up with some like-minded individuals within the arts fields. If you are a member of those fields, but you don't have any expertise in marketing or finance or management or software coding, again, we can hook you up with members of people in this room. There's a few special things about this track that I like. One is that we basically offer extra kind of mentoring. In addition to the great mentor resources that we can hook you up through the NVC, we also make sure that you are hooked up with members of the artistic community to get their mentoring perspective. And so that's another bonus to participating in this track. You get kind of double up on your mentoring. And the prize for the Performing Arts track is the $3,000 O'Neill Taniguchi Entrepreneurship Prize in the Arts. And I'm very, very happy to once again be able to offer that this year. So to sum up, the Performing Arts track is the scrappy underdogs of the NVC. But mark my words, every time we compete, I think we get stronger. Every time we compete, we get a little closer to the big prize. And one of these years, we're going to win this thing. So maybe this is the year. Come join us.
Thanks, Jeff. So next up, we're going to talk about the IT track, and I am actually the track lead for the information technology track. Suffice it to say that it's open really to anything and all things information technology related. Past participants include businesses centered around wearable tech devices, online retirement management applications, mobile apps dedicated to emotional well-being, and social media platforms as well. And I'm hesitant to really kind of list the ideas that fall into the IT track because many diverse ideas actually do fall into the IT track. But just as a sampling, ideas revolving around mobile technology, gamification of tasks, web, mobile, or computer-based apps, internet sales, and much, much more are ripe for the IT track. And I'll leave it at that. I think we do have a lot of tracks here that we can fit you into. And don't be afraid to consider jumping into some different tracks. As far as the IT track is concerned, I'm happy to sit down and speak with you. We can talk about if the IT track is the right fit for you. And if it isn't, we can certainly point you in the right direction. So that's the IT track pitch. We have the general track this year. Unfortunately, the general track leader wasn't able to join us tonight, so I do want to leave a few notes and remarks about the general track. We've heard some great things from IT, from performing arts, and from R&D, how you can really get into that track and why it might be a good fit for you. But if those three tracks just don't seem like they're the right fit for you, then obviously the general track is going to be the right spot for you. Possible participants for the general track might be your businesses centered around brick and mortar storefronts, businesses that are unique services, product and sales businesses, or sustainable goat farms. And I just love using that idea because they were champion a few years back, I believe, Mountain Flower Goat Dairy. So the general track is going to serve kind of as a catch-all, but it's definitely an important track. No matter what your idea is, again, the point of the NVC is to come, get it out and into the open, and the general track will be a good way for that if the IT, R&D, or performing arts tracks aren't the right fit for you. So with that said, I'd like to next pass it off to Julie Wagner, who's going to talk about our Social Impact Prize. And just to remind everybody, the Social Impact Prize is open to all participants, no matter which track they are in. So with that, I'll hand it off to Julie.
Thank you. I'm Julie Wagner. I am an MBA candidate over at Leeds and one of the coordinators of the Social Impact Prize. We believe that businesses from any industry can incorporate social and environmental responsibility into their business plan, and that's why the Social Impact Prize is open to teams from any track in any industry. Through the Social Impact Prize, we provide resources, workshops, feedback, and another opportunity for exposure for NVC teams who are incorporating social or environmental responsibility into their business. We can also help you to connect with MBA candidates part of Net Impact who can help you to make your business more sustainable if you would like to participate in this and don't really know how to do it. Just like a track, the Social Impact Prize has a first round and a final round where teams were going to be pitching to judges from Boulder's very vibrant social entrepreneurship community. Last year, we raised $10,000 in cash and in-kind prizes for the winner of the Social Impact Prize. Right now, we're working hard on fundraising to hopefully make that even more this year. We're going to be sending out some information about workshops and events and the process for competing as the year goes on. And then I'll be around afterwards, and our contact information should be on the NVC website. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Julie. Okay, so we've heard a little bit about the NVC and some of its tracks. I do want to immediately point out some upcoming events that everybody should put on their radar and get on their calendar, and then I'll share a few more important points about the NVC before we close up. So the first event coming up next is going to be the NVC Pitch Night. That's Wednesday, October 7th at 5:30 here in the courtroom. So Pitch Night, what is it? This is the opportunity for participants to make a 60-second pitch and get 60 seconds of on-the-spot feedback right there in the room. Participants will be getting some feedback from some great, successful entrepreneurs this year at the Pitch Night. We'll have Sue Heilbronner, co-founder and CEO of Merge Lane Accelerator, and she'll be joined with Howard Diamond, CEO of Workday, and they'll both be on hand to provide very, very important feedback. The great thing is it's only 60 seconds, so you're not going to be under the microscope for too long. So first benefit is that you're going to get great feedback. Second benefit is that this is an amazing chance to get your idea out and share it with other NVC participants, because after the pitch event at the reception, you're going to have the opportunity to speak with a lot of other people who were there who just want to talk about your idea. So please consider pitching at the pitch event. Spots do fill up quite quickly. If you don't have an idea for pitch night, that's fine. You still should come. And the reason is this, is you're going to hear some pitch ideas, some business ideas that they may be looking for another teammate, another team member. And you're going to be able to walk up to them, introduce yourself, and let them know about your unique skill set to possibly hop on that team. So whether you have an idea or not, whether you're pitching or not, please come to Pitch Night. It's going to be a great way to find out more about some of the teams that are shaping up for this year's NVC. Real quick note again, registration for Pitch Night is up. It's up on cunvc.org. So you can go there. It'll link you to the Eventbrite page, and that's where you can sign up for the limited pitch tickets. And if you're just coming to watch, there are tickets there as well. And again, try to get on that as soon as possible. October 7th is really less than 2 weeks away. Next, after that, we have Mentor Matching Night. That's Tuesday, November 3rd, and that's going to be at Galvanize here in Boulder. Mentor Matching Night is just a fun, laid-back event that gives participants the chance to interact with our great mentor pool. The format will give all participants a chance to cycle through the room and meet mentors with various professional backgrounds and areas of expertise. So if you're a mentor with NVC or you're a participant with NVC, this is one you definitely don't want to miss. And we'll have more information and sign up for that on cunvc.org soon. So I want to share a few quick words on awards. We already talked about the Social Impact Prize, which applies to all track participants. I also want to share a new and exciting prize this year, and that track is open, that prize is actually open to all tracks, and that's the Women Entrepreneurs Prize. This prize seeks to recognize a woman-led team or business, and this prize is being run by the Women in Business Club out of Leeds School of Business. We'll have more information on that prize as the year progresses, and we'll have some information on cunvc.org. If you do have any questions specifically about that, I'm certainly happy to answer them afterwards. So a little bit more, again, about awards and prizes. Each track has its own awards and prizes that it gives out typically around the competition time towards the end of the season. Just as a snapshot, for example, the IT track had about $7,000 in cash prizes that we spread out over the top 3 winners, and then the first place winner did go on to the grand finals later on in the season. In terms of grand finals prizes, just as a snapshot again, the 2 runners-up from last year received $1,000 each. The third place prize received $3,000. Second place prize received $5,000, and first place prize received $10,000. So this year we are expecting the prizes to be as much, if not more. And lastly, in a unique and groundbreaking move, SoftLayer, one of our sponsors this year, is offering to all qualified participants access to its Catalyst program, which really offers access to mentorship, connections, SoftLayer products and services for the next 18 months. And we'll have more details coming up through email and on cunvc.org. But suffice it to say that this literally is a prize for being a participant in the NVC. Now, you need to be a meaningful participant in the NVC, but this is basically just a prize for being there and participating. Additionally, the grand champion of the NVC this year will win the highest level of support from SoftLayer Catalyst program through a credit that's worth $10,000 a month for another year. So we've got some great prizes, not just cash, for those who participate. Something to keep in mind. Again, I always say the awards and the prizes are just icing on the cake. I think the real reward is just participating in the NVC in the first place. So I hope that this has helped you get a sense of the NVC, the season, and the many resources that we have here for all of the participants. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me via email or come see me afterwards. The track leads are also very happy to help you in pointing you in the right direction. CUNVC.org is going to be the best place for you to go to get your quick and dirty information. My email address is on there, so please feel free to reach out to me. As Philip said, I'm the new mystery, and just, treat me like dirt, do what you got to do. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. So that's pretty much summing up our night. I do want to make a few quick pointers. We have demo tables out here tonight. We've got Melinda, the space research company, Kiddables, and Spark, who will be setting up out there to demo their products and services. So please go say hello to them and take a look. I'd also like to extend a warm thank you to the volunteers who helped me tonight on my first event. I think we've done pretty well so far, so thank you to the volunteers. And then lastly, another warm thank you to the mentors for coming out tonight, to the sponsors, and to the speakers, especially Lisa Reeves and Philip Tayton for sharing their thoughts with us tonight. Before we break for the reception, please help me give them and you a warm round of applause. Thank you. All right, time to party.